Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. It's the Peak Signing Agents Podcast. I'm your host, DVO, Derek Van Otten. Thank you for tuning in to another episode, whether you're watching on YouTube or listening on any of the podcast platforms. That's where you'll find me. And I am hoping I'm bringing a lot of great value to all you notaries and signing agents out there, because that's what this podcast is for, is to help you notaries and signing agents do the best job that you can do to show the value that we have in the real estate transaction. And this episode is going to be one of those episodes where I'm sharing with you how to do a fantastic, flawless job with the documents. Because as a signing service owner who deals with dozens of signings a day, as someone who personally has done thousands and thousands of closings personally, I just wanted to share this episode about documents that should be signed by the signers but are often missed. They're the unspoken, the unsung documents that, even though there might not be a signature line, or maybe it's not part of the loan package, these documents still need to be signed. And a lot of notaries miss this. As a signing service owner, and I review dozens a day of scan backs. I know we as notaries and signing agents don't like doing scan backs. I understand that. But there's a reason. Lots of documents are missed. A lot of things are not done properly. And that's why this podcast is here. Is to help you all out there. Is to help you make sure you do a fantastic job. Is to help all you signing service owners out there, so that the notaries that you hire are getting the education that they might not have gotten somewhere else. Because there's a lot of great training programs out there. I like a lot of training programs out there. And they're walking us through the documents. They're telling us these documents are in every package and these need to be signed, these need to be notarized, this is how to do it properly, this is how to execute it. But there's some documents that get kind of left out of trainings because they're not part of every package. But they still need to be signed. I have put together 5 documents, 5 types of documents that I can think of that also should be signed by the borrowers or signers. And if you think I'm missing one, that's okay. So these are 5 that I could remember that I see quite a bit. So if there's one that you think I missed, please go to YouTube and comment another one that you see often that should be signed, and either a lot of people forget about it or they don't know about it. So I wanted to share this with all of you to make sure that you get these documents done right. You don't need to go back to fix errors. These are, if you've been doing this long enough, you should know this. You should know this. If you're newer, make sure you get it done. I was talking to one of my signing service owner friends just yesterday, and she said that a notary forgot to get something signed, and she told her about it, and the notary didn't want to go back to get it done. And she's like, well, then I'm not paying you because this needs to be done. My tip for all you signing service owner friends is, if you know these documents I'm going to talk about are in the package, remind the notaries they need to do this. It's easy to forget about it, especially if it's not part of a normal package. But again, these documents must be signed. And dare I say, maybe even date it. Why not date it? We'll talk about them. So let's get into these. First one, because I ran across it this past week, are previous tax returns. That's the first one. Previous tax returns. You might be thinking, why are there tax returns in this package? It's there for a reason. It's because it was electronically filed, meaning they didn't have to sign their tax returns. I mean, I've been doing my taxes since I was 16 years old. I've been doing tax returns because that's when I got my first job. And the last, I don't know, decade or more, they don't print out the documents for me to sign and they mail it out. They just say, hey, we've done your taxes, and they send me a DocuSign link, and I e-sign my tax returns, and it's mostly just for my tax profession, my CPA, just for their records. I don't even they don't turn it in that way. They just e-file it. So why they're in the return package, why they're in the document preparation is because the borrowers who are signing are just saying, yeah, these are my tax returns. This was my income. And they're just signing an agreement because it was e-filed. There was no signature. It's just like a file number. It's just an electronic file number. So the lenders want the tax return signed, just basically acknowledging, yes, this was my income for this year. So they're going to sign and date, just have them sign today's date. Because they might say, do you want me to date it when I filed my tax returns or date it today? Just date it today. I don't have time for you to look at when you filed your tax return. It's just fine. You date it today. That's fine. But sign and date it. Sign and date previous tax returns. And it might be like the last 3 tax returns. I've seen up to the last 3 tax returns. It's common the last 1 or 2 tax returns, but I've seen up to the last 3 in a return package. And there will be business tax. So if the borrower uses their business income, they will have their previous tax returns from their business. And whoever's the owner of the business, have them sign and date it. Yeah, have them sign and date it. One common question I do get asked because I do tell notaries, hey, make sure you sign. They sign their previous tax returns, and maybe only the husband is getting the loan, and then they get the previous tax returns, and the husband and wife file their taxes, but the wife's not there. They say, hey, the wife's not here to sign the tax returns. It's okay. She's not on the loan. Just have the husband sign the previous tax returns. Okay. The next one, looking at my notes here, is a survey map. What is a survey map? If you're not aware, a survey map is a map that shows the property and its boundaries, the lines that border the property. And this usually should be initialed or signed. So I always have borrowers sign the survey map. And it looks like a blueprint. Okay, it's a blueprint of the house or the neighborhood or the HOA, whatever, and it'll show where the land is, where the property is, and the bounding borders. If there is, a lot of times there are initials or signature, and it's usually like the stamped, right? Either the title company or the lender has put a stamp that says sign here, date here, or initial here. Look for that. There is usually a place, but because the survey map is very busy, there's a lot of things happening on the survey map. There's a compass, there's the county record or the legal description. There's a lot of things happening. Look for it. And if you don't find it though, still have them sign and date it. Sometimes it just has initials, and if it says initials, initial. But if there's nothing, it doesn't hurt to overdo it and just sign and date it. Maybe they only wanted initials. They assumed you knew that, but there's nothing that show it. You know what? It doesn't hurt to just have them fully sign. It won't. If they wanted initials and they signed it, they're okay with that. They're okay with that. So survey maps showing the boundaries of the property. Now I will say this: sometimes at the end of a package, there is the entire appraisal, or there's the entire what's the word I'm looking for? Escrow agreement that kind of shows the legal description, and then there'll also be a survey map. If it's part of that, maybe not worry about it. But if it's a standalone survey map, have them sign and date it. You know what? Ignore what I just said. Every time there's a survey map, have them sign and date it. If they didn't need it done and you did it, that's fine. If they did need it done and you didn't do it, there's a problem. Survey maps. Make sure those are signed and dated. If it has initial marks, then just initial. That's fine. The next one, the wood destroying insect inspection report. All right, I'll say it again. The wood destroying insect inspection report. Termite report, also you might see it. But basically, these need to be signed. And it's just saying if there was any visible damage on the property. So when the home inspector or appraiser came over to check on the house to see, is there termite damage? Is there wood damage? Is there insect damage that could cause problems? This will be on that report. And a lot of times on the top area, you'll see it. It'll be marked no visible damage, or there's visible damage, and they'll list it. But at the very bottom, it says signed by borrower or signed by seller, or if it's a refinance. So I'm remembering this page correctly. On the very bottom, at the very top, it says wood destroying insect inspection report. That's at the very top of the page. That's the header. But at the bottom, on the bottom left, it says signed by seller. So even in seller packets, they need to sign this. It says signed by seller, or if it's a refinance. So if it's a refinance, they also sign on the left side. And on the right side, it says signed by, I think it says homeowner or buyer. And they're going to sign there. A lot of notaries miss this one. Even though it does actually say that they need to sign it, still a lot of notaries miss this one. So this is just a little extra note to make sure they sign this page. All right, another one that might be missed a lot is their profit and loss form. So again, these are business owners. They own a business and they're doing something with their property, refinancing, buying. They're doing something. And they're going to have a profit and loss form. Profit and loss forms are for businesses to show this is all the income we made for the year, and these were all of our expenses for the year, and this is our net income. That's what a profit and loss is. And how it looks is it's going to say at the very top, it should say their business name. And then you're going to see just line items, income, and then expenses. This is a profit and loss. You should know. You're a business owner, right? You're a notary, you're a signing agent, you're a business owner. You should know what a profit and loss statement is. Unless this is your very first year in business. And if it is, then you need to look into this because you need to know this. But anyway, a profit and loss statement still needs to be signed. Sometimes there will be a line at the bottom, and there might be a line. This is what I do, signing service owner friends. This is what I do. When I see a profit and loss statement, I edit the PDF and I put like an X and I put a line in there. And I'm just hoping the notary knows this X in a line means a signature. And I put in the notes, hey, I just uploaded documents for you, just so you know there's a profit and loss statement in there. Make sure they're signed and dated. Have them signed and dated. Profit and loss statements. This is unusual, okay? A lot of times I've noticed that there's not a signature on, because this is what happens. The borrowers are sending their loan officer, their lender, their profit and loss statements. Here, this is our profit and loss for the year. They send it to their lender. The lender looks it over and says, okay, we're getting you approved. And then they just include that profit and loss statement into the package to say, hey, get this signed. The title company knows that. And they're hoping we know that. And we should. That's why I got this episode here for you, okay? We should know profit and loss statements need to be signed. I personally will just draw the line in with my PDF editor. So when I get the documents, I scroll through every page and I say, oh, here's a profit and loss statement. I go to the PDF editor and I put in a little X and I draw a line in. Like, this needs to be signed and dated. So that's what I do as a signing service owner to help avoid mistakes. The lender, this is not a page that's just going to hold up funding, but the lender wants it done. I make sure documents get back done properly. I add in a line for a signature. That's what I do. All right. The next one, and I also draw in lines for this one, these are letters of explanation. And also, these are just letters. Someone drafted the letter up. The real estate agent might have drafted it up for their borrower. The loan officer might have drafted it up. And they put it in the document package. And it's just saying, it's a letter of explanation. They're explaining something. This is why there's a gap in my income. This is why I made more money than last year. This is the reason why this address shows up in my credit report. And it will say, like, I never lived here. Or there's not a HOA where I live now. It's in a development, but there's no HOA fees. It's just some letter of explanation. LOE is what it's referred to a lot of times. The LOE, letter of explanation. It's an explanation. Sometimes the borrowers write this out. Yeah, I never worked at this job, or this is not me. This is another John Doe, right? There's some people that have very common names, and they're like, this is not me. This is someone else. I do not have the social security number. I did not work at this job. here's a reason why I didn't work is because I had a baby and I was a stay-at-home mom. And so this is why I didn't work for this gap. So these are letters of explanation. I lived at this house when I was younger with my parents and I moved out. So I don't own this house. It's my parents' house. Whatever. There's a lot of reasons. Letters of explanation. And so if you see that and it says I, and it will state the person's name a lot of times. And then it's just a letter of an explanation. And again, these are just typed up and then just included in the package. Well, guess what? They need to be signed and dated. So I have them signed dated. And again, as a signing service owner, I'll just, in the PDF editor, add the missing line. I'll just add the line and I'll tell the notary, hey, the letters of explanation, make sure they sign and date it. Now, I will say this. A lot of times there's just a line and it'll have the person's name. Or it might be like, I, Jane Doe, and then an explanation, and then below it says just Jane Doe. Printed. Well, that's because they need a sign above that. I will, again, just add in a signature. I always have had them dated. It won't hurt. Again, this is not like a funding document issue. It does need to be done, though. But I have them dated. A lot of times you'll see the signature line and the date line. It won't hurt to have them dated because you don't know what they want. They might not care. They might only want the signature. They might only want the signature only. Great. But they might also want the date. And if they didn't date it, but they wanted it dated, you have to go back and go get that dated. But if you had it dated and they didn't care if it was dated or not, then you're fine anyway. Okay? So just always have them when they do these forms. All right, their tax returns, the survey map, profit and loss, letters of explanation, just have them dated. A lot of time the wood destroying insect inspection report doesn't need to be dated. It just says their signature because this is just a form. But you know what they date it to? They won't care if it's dated either. They won't care. So these are the 5 that I can think of that they might not always have a signature line or they're missed a lot. And you, as the notary, as the signing agent, need to make sure that they have signed and dated it. Maybe you thought, oh my goodness, I didn't know that. I've never had this done. Because a lot of time, again, it's not holding up the fund, even though it needs to be done still. They probably just said, hey, you know what? This needed to be done. Can you document? So the lender or the title company is just reaching out to the borrower or the signer and saying, hey, you know what? This was supposed to be signed in that package that the notary came over with, and they didn't have you sign it. Can you sign it? We're going to send you a link to DocuSign it. They're just band-aiding it. They're just trying to hurry and get this done because it's probably faster to have the borrowers or signers DocuSign this 1 or 2 pages versus sending the not so great notary that missed it to go back out and do it. So even though I'm saying these pages, you're like, oh, I never knew that. I never done that. Does it really need to be done? They need to be done. And because that you haven't done it yet, just shows that you need proper or training or you haven't done enough. Because if you do enough, you're going to notice, oh, these pages, these letters of explanation usually have a place for them to sign. And this one doesn't. Well, maybe I should have them sign it anyway. All right, it's just maybe a lack of experience. But they need to be done. I'll repeat these pages. But yes, they need to be done. Even if you've never done them before, they need to be done. And on a side note, just a reminder, I know I talked about this recently, but I've had to remind a lot of notaries recently as well. Whenever you make a change, like to the state, to the county, whenever you make a change, initial every change. You need to initial that you as a notary are making this change. You have to acknowledge that you made the change. So you have to initial that you made the change. But these forms need to be signed all the time. Previous tax returns. All right, make sure they sign their previous tax returns. The survey maps showing the map of the property and the border lines. The survey map looks like a blueprint. It looks like a blueprint map, okay? The wood destroying insect inspection report, or termite report, or bug report. I've seen it. That's the most common name I've seen. Let me know if you've seen, again, comment on YouTube if you've seen other names. But the wood destroying insect inspection report is the most common form I see. But I've also seen, basically it says a bug report. I've seen insect report. I've seen termite report. So anything like that just kind of shows if there's any damage. Profit and loss statements. This is their business. Profit and loss statements. Shows their income and all their expenses for the year. Profit and loss. And again, you are a business owner, so you should know what that is. So look into it so you can see common examples of it. And then letters of explanation, where the signers are explaining something. Something on their credit report, something on their, or a reason why something showed up. Anyway, it's an explanation letter, and they have to sign acknowledging what they had said. Now, you don't need to notarize these forms. They just need to be signed, unless there's a block for a notarization, but usually not. All right, I hope this helps you. All right, I'm here to help you. I want you to succeed. You deserve to succeed. We as notaries and signing agents are important in the real estate transaction. We need to prove that we're important by doing a perfect job every single time. We don't miss signatures. We don't miss initials. We don't miss dates. We don't miss stamps. We get it done right every single time. That's what this podcast is for. That's what this YouTube video and channel is for. To help my fellow notaries out there. Help my signing service owner friends out there. Again, signing service owner friends, if you see these forms I just talked about and they don't have the signature line, maybe have your schedulers or you do the PDF editor and add them in. Most likely it won't cause an issue that you add in a line for them to sign. They'd rather it be signed. So I hope this helps all of you out there. And that's what I do as a signing service owner. I draw in the lines a lot of times to make sure they're done right. All right. In fact, I just had one of my clients. She actually, on a Saturday, she emailed me. We have a Monday morning signing coming up. And she said, on a Saturday, she gave me documents on a Friday, but on a Saturday, this is probably stirring in her head. She goes, "Hey, Derek, just want to real quick, can you let the notary know that the note and the deeds, there's initials on the bottom right of every page. Could you please let them know?" And I responded, "Hey, not only did I let the notary already know that they need to initial every page, including the signature page, but I also reminded them to sign the previous tax returns. I saw they had previous tax returns." And then she commented back on a Saturday and said, she says, of course you did. You're on top of it. I should have known you were already on top of it. Thank you so much." All right. I'm just showing my clients that we provide the best service. So signing service owners, make sure that you're just going above and beyond for your clients to show them that you're really on top of it. You really know what you're doing as a signing service. And you're just kind of, I don't like micromanaging notaries, but sometimes it doesn't hurt to just say, "Hey, just a reminder, these pages are there. Don't forget to have them signed. Let me know you got this note, notary." We do this. This is what my company does. All right. I'll catch you on the next episode. Keep being awesome.